Hey guys, welcome back to Tiny Disneyland. So this the last week of progress, I worked on Tomorrowland. So here's a little glimpse of what Tomorrowland's entrance looks like compared to the hub, or connected to the hub. I worked on quickly a small version of Plaza Inn just to fill up this corner, because I do have this behavior of when I'm working on a project of this size, I leave little corners that are open and I forget to work on them. So I forced myself and worked on the Plaza Inn and then kind of finished, and that kind of helped with the whole feel of this place. But let's get into the time lapse. We're going to go over some sections of Tomorrowland. I didn't build everything in Tomorrowland because I have some other sections I want to work on and focus those on, like videos that are focused on those attractions. So like some Space Mountain, Submarine Voyage, maybe Rocket to the Moon, things like that will get like videos on their own, because I want to kind of like focus on those design philosophies and the process of doing those rides. But this week the objective was to kind of get the feeling of Tomorrowland and kind of get the stretch down the main thoroughway to maybe start planning and plotting where the monorail, subs, Space Mountain's going to go, and things like that. So kind of focused on that this week. So let's get on to the time lapse. Okay, let's get into the first couple things I wanted to work on for this Tomorrowland section. So weeks ago I already started on, I made a small mini Star Tours a while ago. I kind of made the queue line, the building where Star Tours would sit, and that kind of got me the basis of it. And that's already on the workshop. If you guys want to explore that, go for it. It's already on the workshop. And I put that in the map prior just to figure out the scaling of what Tomorrowland should feel like, and then I proceeded on building a mock-up of what Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters would be. I had choice on my... See, again, Tomorrowland's a very weird history again, because Tomorrowland started off with only a couple key attractions in 1955. I think it was the Rocket Jets, Autopia, Rocket to the Moon, and that's it. Because the two buildings in the main boulevard, or the thoroughway, was just, I think, museums, because they didn't have anything else built ready when the park opened. So Tomorrowland was kind of like, I think, the last land they were working on, and it was kind of just lacking, right? So it's just kind of the funny part about that. So I had choice on either making this Circle Vision, or I could have made it the queue line for Rocket Rods, but I already made my decision to only do People Mover, so Rocket Rods was kind of out of the question. And I just went back to the main objective why I'm doing this Disneyland. It's like, so what are the things that I find important for a Disneyland from my memory, like the things that I remember. So I remember two things from my Disneyland years, is that it was Rocket Rods for a little bit, and then it turned into Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster. So I felt like it was going to be Astro Blaster because the People Mover existed in this version of my Disneyland. And then Star Tours was the main pull, because I think Star Tours was my first thrill ride as a kid, so it holds some importance for me for that. So I had to build that. So this just already dictated where I was going to go with the feeling of this Tomorrowland. And Astro Blasters is what it is. So I'm just trying to imitate the entrance. The entrance itself was just a repaint from the original entrance of Rocket Rods. The cool thing about Rocket Rods' queue was that it went into the building. It used the Circle Vision Theater for a while to promote, I think, automobiles or something, or the Wheel of Motion. And then the queue line went under the ground, across the way to the center station where Rocket Rod Station would be, or People Mover Station would be. So that was kind of cool. They used the entire building to queue it. But that's just, again, I only rode Rocket Rods once. This is kind of funny. I rode it once. I think it was like a 3-hour wait. I was like 9 or 10. And man, that was a cool ride, but I can see the flaws why it didn't work out. So People Mover is in my park in this weird retro Disneyland. I mean, I have I have the plastic house from Monsanto's, which is kind of funny. And then I have People Mover, which are like two different eras. But again, I kind of like the idea of mixing eras here. But moving on to, well, I should talk about a little bit what this is made of. This is made of mostly shapes and wall pieces. And I use these the steampunk pillars for the weird neon glowing effect. And the color scheme is Buzz Lightyear. So it's purple, greens, and whites. It's just Buzz Lightyear. So also in building this section of Tomorrowland, I'm trying to imitate Disneyland, but not being accurate. And again, that's the fun part about doing all of this, especially being in vanilla. It feels like I'm working with Lego pieces. I'm just going to see where it takes me. Now, the choice for not including the name Buzz Lightyear is because of space restraints. And I think it's fine to just call it Astro Blasters because you know what it is from a quick glance. And also the ride itself is already named Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blaster, so it's already there, so I'm okay with it. I built right here on top of the Q sign. It is the Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blaster's like Q entrance sign that would say Fast Pass and it would say Fast Pass and Standby. I don't have a Standby or Fast Pass in Parkitect, so I'm just going to make the sign very generic and plain, and it looks like the sign with basic shapes, because I'm again with going the artistic route with this project, making it cartoony, toy-like, seems to be a really good choice because it really helps simplify a lot of things. Because I talked earlier in the intro about my miniature Plaza Inn. It's not accurate, but you know it's Plaza Inn from a glance, and as long as you know what it is, I'm golden, and it's actually a good indicator of where you go with certain projects. Especially that's why you should like post if you're working on a project and you post something about your project on a forum, Reddit, Twitter, and you get a good reaction out of it that tells you that people are noticing what that thing's supposed to imitate, then you're pretty golden. I've said this numerous times at this point. So with Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster kind of built basically already with a simple building, I felt I needed to make at least one cutaway to show it's Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster with a scene from the ride. So I chose the end scene in the ride, which is Buzz Lightyear versus Zurg. And that's basically, that's what I basically started with. I'm taking big inspirations from the Disney Museum. The Family Disney Museum in San Francisco has a Disneyland model that is, it's not necessarily reimagining, but it's the imagining of Disneyland if Walt was still alive past 1966. It's all the things that he was working on prior to his death. So the Disneyland looks kind of weird because there's a Space Mountain section in their Tomorrowland, and the Space Mountain is ridiculously like over the top. It's like really gigantic, has the coaster coming in and out of its structure, and right next to Space Mountain is flying saucers, so you can kind of tell what era this was. So I'm kind of taking inspiration from that model because all the dark rides in those models have cutaways on their roofs and have little diorama shows of their respective rides coming out of the buildings. So like Monsanto's Inner Space has the Doom Buggies, well they're not called Doom Buggies, but Omni cars coming out of the microscope. The Haunted Mansion has the Hitchhiking Ghosts coming out of the top of the building. Small World has a section that looks like the dolls are coming out of it's kind of weird, but if you look up Google images of Walt Disney Family Museum Disneyland model, it kind of represents that. So in that purpose, I'm doing that here, which is kind of funny because I do like doing cutouts with all my dark rides because I think it's a fun way to kind of showcase what's inside without having a camera mod, because not everybody plays mods. And this is also a way to kind of simplify my, simplify my building process, because I don't have to worry myself building every single scene. I'm just going to build one scene and then be done with it. So that's kind of the point of doing this, was just to showcase. So with this, I'm building Zurg and his secret weapon. I'm going to build Zurg. I did build Buzz Lightyear. You won't see it in the time lapse because apparently I forgot to record it, and I feel stupid about it. And it's frustrating because I spent really good time on Buzz Lightyear, and Buzz Lightyear looks really good. You'll see that in the tour. I'll focus on Buzz, but I build Zurg and his machine, and the Doom Buggies, or the Haunted House ride, is our placeholder for the Doom Buggy ride, or the, what's not Doom Buggy? It's more like Omnicar. Yeah, it's an Omnicar system. It's on a belt. So those cars look like the vehicles that represent that. It's so funny because with this park so far, I have 3 rides that use the Haunted House tracked ride. That would be Haunted Mansion, Buzz Lightyear, and Winnie the Pooh, which is kind of funny because it's a really good ride to use for that type of stuff, but it is what it is. I'm trying to make this as vanilla as possible. When it comes down to it, I might use some mods for, I don't know, I could use some like train mods for like the Disneyland Railroad and maybe some of the other coasters, maybe Big Thunder, but we'll see. I still kind of like the idea of making this vanilla because that is the point of the challenge, is to make it vanilla, so I will just keep it at that. So Zurg is just made of shapes as usual. I'm just doing the shape combining technique, figuring out what shapes would represent his mouth, his eyes, the collar that's behind him, because it's like a big flare up on his suit. Again, no one's really explained. Is Zurg actually a robot or is he a human? No one's really explained. I think he's a robot or maybe a cyborg with a brain in his head. The lore for Buzz Lightyear is very, very loose. And the Buzz Lightyear movie, Lightyear, didn't really explain much either, which was a disappointment because I like Buzz Lightyear based off of the television show called Star Command. That was great. But this, I don't know. Again, it's just kind of a toy type of thing to do. But made him angry, made him with his gray gloves, accidentally deleted some shapes here. That was frustrating. That's the one downfall with Parkitect, is that one misclick of your right mouse, everything gets deleted. So, oof. So, this is where I cut quickly here because this is where I forgot to record Buzz Lightyear. I'm so upset with myself, but it happens every once in a while. I'm recording, building, and I accidentally push a key and it stopped recording, and I didn't notice until it was too late. So we're going to go on to the next sections of Tomorrowland. The next focus for me was finish the center area where People Mover sits, and then do the roundabout where this is not called the Astro Orbiter. The thing on top was called the AstroTron. No, the Orbitron. That's what it's called. The weird decorational piece they put on there after they moved Astrojets over to the new location in the front of the land, and then they renamed it Astro Orbiter. I don't know what they're thinking about this, but it was the weird 2000s when Disney was trying to retheme Tomorrowland, and they went with this brown color scheme thing, and it was just gross. And so, for my personal memories, is that I've always known that the Orbitron was always there. It used to work. Actually, it would go off every, I think, hour. It would do some musical event. It would spin, its arms would lift, and then it would end. It happened every once in a while. Every hour. I think it happened every hour. I don't remember practically, but now it's completely broken. It completely does nothing. So at this point, Tomorrowland's kind of dead. It's such a shame, but I have great memories of watching it spin, do its thing. And then I felt like I should make a version in my tiny Disneyland, and it's going to be completely made out of shapes as usual. So first I needed to figure out the circular bit on top, and I used mini monorail tracks to get the border of it because I knew I was going to build it out of cylinders, because the bottom level is made of cylinders as well. And this is where hand placing things is really difficult. You have to be really patient with it. And so I just lined up the edge of the cylinder, the disc, right up against the monorail track to kind of get that shape, because I did want the uniformity. The monorail track was there to help with the shapes from looking weird. I don't know how to explain it. The ridging of the discs next to each other when I click really rapidly, the monorail track was to unify it, and it kind of helped with the shaping of it, and it looks solid from here. and you wouldn't tell from like quickly if you glance. You're like, oh, that looks like it's just shape. You made a perfect, almost a weird looking. That's like a square with curved corners, which is what I went for. Because it's not a perfect circle. I can't get a perfect circle, so I kind of opt in to just use that. And then on to build the orbitron. There's some really good pictures on Google that I looked at. There's some toys that were made of it, I think, and some models and things that people made of the orbitron. So I kind of looked at them like, yeah, I can make this with shapes. And we got some good new shapes now we can use, like the hexagon piece. We got the ring torus pieces. We got... what else we got? I didn't use anything else besides the torus piece and the hexagon disc version and the giant, the more blocky, yeah, the blocky shape version, whatever you want to call it. So the shape of this thing is, I honestly believe they took a ride, stripped it down to its bare parts, and then decorated and put greeblies all over it. I think that's what they honestly did, because it looks like it is maybe the old Astrojet's ride, but I'm not positive if that's actually true or not. It kind of looks like it. If you actually look at the model, or look at the, again, this weird machine, Google image it, it looks like an attraction just without the rockets. They just stuck on the ends of the arms satellite dishes that have like a gem at the end or something that's supposed to glow, and then they go up and down as the things spin. So honestly, it probably was the Astrojets at one point. Now, the reason why I went with having this prop here instead of the Astro Orbiter on top of the People Mover is because of the base that the flat ride uses. It's a square base, and it was like 5x5, I think. Yes, it was a 5x5 square. The problem with that, I would have to make an even more bigger circle to cover up the edges of that platform. And you can tell from here I'm at its limits because it is 5x5 with the corners completely curved cut. Wasn't going to happen. I knew that going in from the get-go. So in comes the weird Orbitron kind of thing. Kind of a weird little decorational piece. It is kind of unique to this Disneyland's Tomorrowland. Like, this is the only unique thing. And again, this is from the era of the weird Tomorrowland things they did in the 2000s. The weird brown gold accents when they made Space Mountain completely brown. That was weird. And my Tomorrowland's kind of a mixture between the retro and the new. So we're in a weird period of time. Again, Tomorrowland's such a weird, like, land. If I did a proper Tomorrowland, I probably would do more of a retro future, like the movie Tomorrowland. That's what I would rather do. But I'm not doing that for this project. This point of this project is to imitate Disneyland with vanilla and to showcase just, I don't know, problem solving is one, design work, and just, I don't know, puzzle making. Because this is basically what I'm doing is basically solving and puzzling, and then that's kind of what I would describe it. So you can see as I'm putting more greeblies on this Orbitron, it kind of looks like it. Kind of would be awesome if it spins, but it does not spin. It's a stationary object. But I get the feeling of that it is the Orbitron. And I like that the People Mover kind of goes underneath it. Now, I didn't explain earlier about the People Mover. The station is not where it should be. The station is actually in the building of Buzz Lightyear because you can't have curved stations. So I just did some, I don't know, Parkitect magic and just hit it in that building. There's a queue line that actually comes from the exit of Buzz Lightyear, goes in the back, there's a hidden queue line, there's a hidden ride in the back of the building. You board the People Mover there, and the People Mover goes through, down the center of the street, turns around at the Orbitron and goes back down to do the rest of the layout of People Mover, which I haven't finished yet because there's some other buildings that need to be built for it. And also on top of that, when I build Summer Voyage and Autopia, there's going to be some shenanigans I have to figure out with those rides intersecting with each other. So that will be a whole other project. But the feeling of Tomorrowland is positive for my take. Like, everything feels like Tomorrowland. I like where it's headed. The tan building that's up in the corner, left corner, bottom corner, whatever, I'm rotating here, that's going to be Tomorrowland Terrace. I build that as well. I'm basically trying to dictate my time period. It sounds like it's going to be about the 2000s, 2010s-ish, hopefully. Yeah, it can always change. Again, this project's constantly growing. It's going to turn into something like that. So we're on to the end of this time lapse. I didn't record anything else prior because I was working on little projects here and there to finish up tidying up the Tomorrowland area. It wasn't as interesting to showcase, so I didn't show it. But I'm here building like the dining room tables. Oh my gosh, no, the picnic tables for Tomorrowland Terrace on this new ledge. And then I actually do get to build the Tomorrowland Terrace stage. I'll show you that in the tour. And then I wanted to showcase some of the path covering things I've been doing with shapes, especially cubes and hexagons. Just showcasing that you can just cover paths, cut the corners, and it kind of turns this game into something else. So that's kind of what I want to show here, was just the covering of the paths and stuff. So we're going to quickly jump over to the live view. I'll show you everything that Tomorrowland has so far and the plans for the next phase in the next weeks or so. So let's just jump over there. Okay, welcome to Tomorrowland. So I'm gonna show you all the things I worked on. There were some things I worked off camera, things I did on the time lapse. I want to apologize again for not showing the Buzz Lightyear. I feel very bad about not noticing I wasn't recording, but just wanted to get that off my chest. So I worked on a couple things during this week. So let's just recap. So I did Plaza Inn right here. That was fun to do. Here's what Plaza Inn looks like at night. I think it looks cute. It's adorable. It resembles Plaza Inn. The unfortunate part is I can't put signs in because it's a diagonal, so we'll just have the imagination that says Plaza Inn. And again, it's being tiny. It's tiny. I did some backstage shenanigans. I moved the depot that was next to Indiana Jones, moved it here for an actual permanent location now. I don't have to think about it because the depot just sits right here. And then I don't think I worked on anything on Main Street. I didn't refresh anything up, I don't think. Let me check here. Nope. This looks great. Here's the Disneyland Castle. Sleeping Castle didn't change much. I started some prep work on the fencing around Matterhorn, but I haven't really decided what it will look like yet. I need to go look at some reference pictures of the area. But let's just focus on Tomorrowland because that's the whole point of this video. So there's the People Mover kind of doing its thing, just cycling, doing its stuff. So we have up here is Astro Blasters, or Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster. We have this. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about the mural. The mural's supposed to be, well, again, more planets like this one over here. So kind of made them similar, but this is supposed to have like the rocket ships coming out, and I didn't want to really make the rocket ships, so I kind of just skipped that. Just made some planets and things like that. And then these are supposed to be the Fast Pass machines for Star Tours, but kind of just representing them, not really focus on accuracy. But yeah, you can just see Astro Blaster, the Q goes here, the station for Buzz Lightyear sits here actually. Here, I can actually show you what's inside, because might as well. So it just kind of wraps around and does its thing. And then here's the station for the People Mover. I kind of hid it in the building I described earlier. It's like, yeah, I'm just gonna hide it, just make it weird. But that's the trickery that I'm doing with this park, because I'm solving problems. So the guests actually come in the back here of the Star Command store, or the store. It's actually called Store Command, not Star Command, Store Command. I haven't decided to make an icon yet, but I might just take a picture from the Googles, put it on the image sign piece that we have, and then call it a day, or I can build out of shapes. Haven't decided. I also don't care if it happens or not. I might do it. So here's the big thing that I worked on this week was the Buzz Lightyear's little diorama scene. So we got Zurg, we got targets that blink on and off because the players are, shooting things and doing all that cool stuff. And then let's do a close-up on Buzz. So here's Buzz Lightyear, the thing that I forgot to record. So the key things that are made of are shapes and cylinders and spheres, and his wings are made of windows flipped flipped onto each other so you can't see the window part. So there's actually two windows kind of stuck together. You can kind of see. But yeah, I wanted to see if I can build Buzz. And again, these are gigantic figures, by the way. This is not realistic to size at all. But again, I'm trying to have this like diorama feel to it, right? Let's not forget Star Tours. We should just show you Star Tours too. It's the thing that actually started this project. So because I was already building miniature Disneyland rides, and the Star Tours project that I worked on kind of solidified like, oh yeah, I should just build Disneyland at this point. What's stopping me? Let's just dive right in. So here's Star Tours. I kind of just built the same, like you can tell the buildings are basically the same, almost the same shape, roughly the same shape. They're a little off from each other, but that's kind of how they are in real life. So I built the front area. This is Star Tours. Imitated the front a little bit. Then I built the queue line with the miniature Star Speeder, which is also a downloadable on the workshop. If you want to have just the Star Speeder in your park, you can. Here's a small little C-3PO. That model was really hard to make. It was just kind of a couple shapes and stuff. And the R2-D2. And then the People Mover kind of cuts through here, which I find very adorable. And the queue line kind of just goes off this way to the loading area for Star Tours. And this actually is split into two queue lines for two separate Star Tours or simulation. Simulators to do its thing. And then it kind of just exits out from the Star Trader. So having this building built and plopping it down and now trying to incorporate it into the rest of Tomorrowland was the challenge, but also fun to do at the same time because I knew I wanted the People Mover in the center, right? And so it kind of worked out really well that it looks like Tomorrowland from a distance. I do enjoy its look. So also during that week I worked on the Orbitron. Here it is in its glory. It also lights up at night, so it has some good orangey glow to it. It looks okay, I like it. I might have to go get the audio from the little show it did every hour. I need to go ask my twin if he has that audio, because it was just a weird thing they did. Also on to the Tomorrowland Terrace, which is just a burger joint from Tomorrowland. Nothing too crazy. Again, Tomorrowland's a weird theming. It's just almost incohesive in some places. But I also call it iconic because it represents a weird futures 50s style of architecture. I don't know if I would call it Art Deco. I would call it something else, wouldn't it? I wouldn't know what it would be called then. But it's kind of that retro feel to it. So that's kind of what I went for. And then I was like, I might as well build Tomorrowland Terrace stage itself. That's right here. So just a very simple version of it. Represents it kind of. It's missing some details, but I kind of remove those details so I can make it more simplified and make it easier to work around. And it's basically a pointless prop, but most of Disneyland actually will be almost like some places will be almost pointless because mechanically, like game wise, the game won't do anything. Like this adds I think decoration to the map. Let me see. Yeah, everything's green, solid green. Oh, I actually have some white spots that don't completely cover. But at this point, you can tell like the green of this park is like super. That's just so crazy. So yeah, there's Tomorrowland Terrace. I worked on that. I was planning on maybe plotting out where Submarine Voyage is going to go with Autopia and then the monorail. I kind of played around with that off camera, deleted it, kind of messed around, but that's the plan. Would maybe either work on that next week or Space Mountain. So this is where Space Mountain's going to live. So I took some monorail track pieces, made some circles, made an outline. I did this for my miniature test track blueprint that's on the workshop. I made a ring out of monorail tracks, and then I took pillars and just filled in the gaps to kind of make it a circular building in vanilla. So I do have a plan of making a Space Mountain in this corner because it does fit perfectly, and that leaves me space for other things here, like either Rocket to the Moon right next to it or Pizza Port. Oh, Pizza Port. I could have Pizza Port like right here. At a diagonal version of Rocket to the Moon with a theater underground. And then I could add... I'm still debating on Innovations because Innovations is a circular building. I don't know if I could build another circular building. I could, but I don't know. The train station might move down a block or so, and then this black line here that I drew was like the edge of Autopia. Because Autopia needs to go back here and fill up this corner and wrap around, and then they have the Submarine Lagoon right here. Because Submarine Voyage is built actually in an L-shaped, and then Autopia is built on top of it. And I need to do that too, just to get this area finished. Because I can actually, I think I finished this area quite quickly. This building here is supposed to be the Primeval World and Grand Canyon diorama. I might make it in one building versus two, just to simplify it. But I also like the idea of covering up this turn and turning that into the second diorama. Still debating, still figuring out logistics and stuff. But I think the big project would be to work on Space Mountain, because the shape of that building is going to be wild. Especially in vanilla. See, this is where this project either is going to kill me, or I break down and use mods to finish the Space Mountain building without making it look ugly. But I have some really high hopes that doing a vanilla build of Space Mountain to kind of get the imitation look and the toy feel of it might pull itself off. Oh, cross your fingers, because I think I can pull it off, because I've been able to pull off a lot this far. Because I'm surprised I was able to pull off like the Astro Orbiter's look and the Orbitron, right? Things like that are like the organic shapes and stuff. I mean, the shape of the main street seems pretty organic. Like the shape of Jungle Cruise and Indiana Jones and Adventureland seems pretty organic enough. Like, I think I could pull off a circular building. I might pull some shenanigans. We'll see. I'm going to experiment, but I think that's the next project, is to work on Space Mountain. But yeah, this is overall what Disneyland looks like so far. I am excited where this is going. And I hope you guys are excited where this is going too. Let me know in the comments. Oh yeah, I should just show you guys Indiana Jones, because I forgot. I keep forgetting to show this off. So I built Indiana Jones a while ago also as a mini diorama, or a mini Indiana Jones blueprint. It's also on the workshop too. You guys can go pop it down in your parks. But yeah, I did a little cutout too with the Indiana Jones skull with the bridge that shoots lasers. There's lava. There's, you know, rocks and stuff everywhere. And then I did the last scene with the boulder. That was fun to do. And then here's the front area. Then the queue line kind of just goes through here under the train tracks into the show building itself. And there you go. There's Indiana Jones. Kind of sits out here in the middle of the parking lot. But that was the Indiana Jones attraction. I'm planning to do that for Pirates will have a cutaway. I mean, Haunted Mansion already has one. I am still debating if I need to do a cutaway for Splash Mountain. I could do one right here in this diagonal corner. Some changes here in Critter Country. I'm still debating on some stuff. I think I want to just eliminate that trestle bridge and just make the train track curve around it, and then kind of condense Critter Country down into this corner and just kind of keep it where it is. And then the Rivers of America is still kind of being dictated. Like, I might have to extend the river out a little bit just to make it a little bit more longer. And then, yeah, some of the areas will be condensed down. But again, that's the point of all this toy Disneyland stuff, right? It's going to be condensed. But you already can see that this park is very detailed, full. You can probably I'm already spending hours actually just looking at my old stuff. Looking at, like, I mean, all the details that I did for Main Street. It's already insane. So, enough of me rambling. I just kind of went off track here. So, next week is going to work on Space Mountain. Hopefully finish that up in the week or so. Show you guys, and then we'll continue on. So, thank you guys for watching this tiny Disneyland project as it continues to grow in this monstrosity of a project. And hopefully I don't run out of steam on this, because this has been something. So, I'll catch you guys in the next Disneyland episode, and I'll see you then. Bye.